is Avijit Ranade, and I'm one of the partners here at TSM Studio. And we are sitting in what is the control room of Studio One. Essentially, TSM Studio, if not the biggest, definitely one of the biggest studios that we have in Pune. We have this console which we specially sourced from the US, from Nashville. So this is a DDA AMR 24 analog console. So you can say this is the original and the plugins are a via media for this, right? So this is specifically required for, let's say, mastering a project. An analog compressor will definitely give you a lot more width, a lot more breadth and depth to the sound than a software can ever give. So typically how things work is, so the people perform there in the recording room, that signal is routed into the analog console. Now this has its own outboard equipment in terms of equalizers, in terms of compression, etc. That is then routed through all of this signal chain, and all of that goes back into Pro Tools, which is our main software for recording the output. So you get all the warmth from the analog console, you get all the processing that happens from the gear, and then you record in Pro Tools, and then whatever additional you need in terms of the latest, in terms of the latest technologies, etc., the animations, the automations, in the recording, etc., all that happens through Pro Tools. Legend has it that this was one of the consoles that was used by Pink Floyd in one of their recordings, yet to be verified. Now, if you look at the monitors as well, so what's on the far end are called far field monitors. That is when you do the eventual playback of the song, right? What you have here are called midfield. And there are two more pairs of monitors that are not on the ground right now, which are called near field monitors. We also have a very, very big recording floor which can accommodate a whole band simultaneously if need be. So we've recorded bands here, we've recorded Dhol-tasha teams here, we've recorded up to 16 people choruses here simultaneously, like a whole choir, right? So we get all of that because we have a fairly big recording floor, which is also used for film dubbings. The other unique feature about the studio is this is probably the only one of its kind that is also used as a teaching premises. So the whole concept of the studio came about because we are also probably one of the pioneers in the professional media education space. So we run full-time degree courses which are UGC approved, where students can get to work on real-time film projects, web series projects, music projects, with the best-in-class equipment that they will see anywhere else in the world.
This is our post-production facility. Here we have medium-range cinema theatre where we do film mixing. We have JBL installation here. Then we have surround sounds all over the place. This is Dolby Atmos Preview Theatre also. This is completely made for post-production. The work surface here you can see is Avid S6. This is a very big console and very few people have it actually. It has got all the controls we need for controlling sounds, controlling various elements. So we can, address any issues if we find in terms of metering. And a lot of things can be controlled from the work surface itself. We don't have to actually touch keyboard and mouse for most of the time.
We are in Studio 3, or what we like to call the Creators Suite. Now, essentially, this is a room for creators, for programmers. For example, somebody also wants to do podcasts, right? We have a setup here. This also doubles up as a pre-mix room. Now, what that means is, especially for movies, when you're doing a stereo versus a 5.1, which is a surround sound mix of the movie, you do the pre-mix here and then you go to the preview theater to actually see how it's turned out. What we have here is what we call the Foley Room. Now, for the layperson, Foley effects are all the sound effects that you hear in movies. So when you talk about sound effects like footsteps, fights, doors opening and closing, bangles clinking, glasses tinkling, utensils falling, all of that is actually recorded in a setup like this. So, for example, if you see around here, we have various surfaces. Essentially, these surfaces are to replicate whatever surface the character is walking on the screen. So you have sand, you have brick, you have wood, you have metal. This pit can be filled with water for any of the splashes that require to be recorded. If you see the far shelf here, we have about 50-60 different pairs of footwear. So essentially, the Foley artist matches what the character is wearing on the screen and then replicates those as far as possible in the recording process. Everything that you hear in movies is not really recorded live on the set. It's all done in the studio in a room like this, and in the room, that you saw earlier. So I just want to say that Studio Rentals by Cast India is a very, very good initiative, essentially because it brings out people like us who have studio spaces and people like artists or producers who require these kind of studio spaces on a common platform without really having to look around the internet or ask people they know, and B, also because the level of detail that you will get on the studio rental portal, which is in terms of equipment that we have, which in terms of the rates that we offer, or actually giving a virtual tour of the premises without really having to go there in person, I think brings down the process or makes it a lot easier for people to connect. And I think that's a brilliant way forward, especially in these days.